Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's a chilly and, as you can see, very, very foggy morning. Man, I mean, there's some places the visibility is just not much past your bumper. Very, very thick fog fell in this morning. But it's that time of the year. I think there's some more rain in the forecast tonight and tomorrow, possibly even some thunderstorms. So if you live in the area, in the region, you know, it's what to expect this time of the year. So yesterday, the president hosted the Prince of Saudi Arabia in the White House and had a big gala dinner last night. I guess Elon Musk was there. Everyone's talking about that. And the president's talking a lot about how he's, another $1 trillion of investment coming into the United States because of Saudi Arabia. And I don't want to dwell too much on that, other than, their annual GDP is only like 1.2 trillion. And I understand that that's just GDP. That's not total wealth. But the president has indicated multiple times that these investment deals that he's working on are coming in this year. And again, this is another sign that that's not true. They're making this pledge over many years, usually 5 to 10 year period, and they're not written in stone. They're just pledges. Originally, it was 600 billion, and so it's been upped to $1 trillion. So we will see. But the thing that I want to hone in on, and I got a point to all this, is that the president says now that we are have signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia, much like a NATO style agreement, where we're partners. We will come and defend them. They will defend us, and that we will exchange everything, military and everything. Even the president even said that we're going to help Saudi Arabia develop a nuclear energy program. Or just a nuclear program. And the question is, will they start trying to enrich uranium, because that would weaken our position and why Iran shouldn't have enriched uranium? Who knows? What's interesting about this, among many things, I mean, a lot of people believe that Saudi Arabia was behind 9/11. I mean, some of us know probably what really went on. But anyways, it's the point that I guess that matters. But then there's also the fact that the president just said that months back that we did this same kind of NATO style deal where a defense pack with Qatar. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Qatar and Saudi Arabia, they're kind of enemies. I mean, they don't get along very well. They've sanctioned each other. They've accused each other of terrorism. They've not gone to war with each other, but they have not gotten along very well. And so we've placed ourselves in the middle, which I don't know. Just think it's kind of silly, to use the simplest terms. It's crazy. When I was actually thinking last night, I wish I had the time, which I absolutely don't, to create some type of, because visuals sometimes helps a lot of people, to create some kind of like map, global map, and show how we are allying with these people, but these people are with these people, and they're our enemies, and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how everything gets twisted and convoluted, and in the end, it's just we're going to war with them over this point, but yet we're working out trade deals with them over this point. I mean, it's crazy. This is what I've been telling. It's a good part of what I've been telling you about for years now, with this whole Agenda 2030, Great Reset, Golden Age era, or whatever, is to make you believe that all these bad things are happening, and they are in a lot of sense, but that all these bad things are happening, and that's why we need all of this new stuff. We need everything to change, this new normal, because things are just bad and it's falling apart, and it's crazy and chaotic. And in the end, they're all playing for the same team. They're all, they're all pocketing our wealth and all that kind of stuff. But Anyways, moving on. The U.S. Congressional report came out this week, and it kind of backs up some of the stuff that I've been saying for a while. And it's not good at all. I think it's actually really big. And from so far, I'm not seeing any traction or much traction when it comes to news or social media or anything like that. It says that if we do not deal with China now militarily, or there's not some kind of long-term peace, made with China, that by 2027, which is not that far away, less than a year and a half away, that by 2027, China's military capacity, technology, their ability to outbuild us and everything will surpass us to the point that if we were in a war with them, that they would either defeat us, or that the cost to defeat them would be far too high for us. I mean, it would take way too much. There was a report out of the Pentagon months ago that China's Navy is building ships and technology at a rate of somewhere around 200 times what the United States is. 200 times. They're saying it's even more faster and everything than the United States was during World War II. And that, here's the thing. This is what I've said this so many times with China. I get a lot of, whenever I say something like this, I get a lot of people saying, yeah, but, their equipment's not quite as amazing as ours. Well, that's what we believe, because that's what we're told, but we don't know that. China's military, for the most part, is untested. Their equipment is untested. And that can be a really bad thing, and that could be a really good thing. There has been a little bit of it used, like in Pakistan and India, and it's shown to be very good, And I understand that, their aircraft carriers aren't nuclear. They are working on that. But here's the thing. Remember World War II. Germany's military technology and their quality of product was far superior than the United States. Their tanks were way better than ours. Their tanks, the armor was better, the accuracy was better. Their planes were far superior to ours. Their rifles, their rifles were amazing. Everything was really, really good. Very fine. Even today, German weapons are considered, as much as we talk about H and K as gun nuts, we all want one, right? So how did we defeat them? Well, number one, Russia really defeated Germany. But how did we do what we did? Well, it's because we outbuilt them. Our Sherman tanks were very inferior to the German tanks, but we were building them. I don't know the rate. I can't remember. I've read it many years ago, but many times more than they were building their tanks. And so, just because China's equipment, military equipment, may not be as equal to ours, if they're outproducing us at a rate of 200 times, that's significant. And as much as the White House wants to talk about how Xi Jinping respects Donald Trump and that, we're working out all these deals and everything, there's not been a whole lot on paper to prove that, okay? And China's actions, they may go to some kind of diplomatic meeting and say that they're going to do this, but then their actions afterwards prove different. And so I'm just saying that, and this congressional report may not be 100% accurate, and the thing is this is coming out of a Republican-controlled Congress. A Republican-controlled Congress. So I think this is a big deal. They released a report. When was it? It was during Biden's presidency. I think maybe 2 years ago. I talked about it then, and I've mentioned it several times, that they believed that that China would try to take Taiwan by about 2027. And so I'm sure that this report is kind of connecting with that because it's the same year. So that if we don't deal with them by 2027, we may not be able to defeat them, is what it's saying. And I mean, I'm very much paraphrasing it, but that is kind of the gist of it. This is a big deal. That's why I think that the president, and I don't like it in some ways, but other ways I understand it, of why he's putting so much pressure on South American countries, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, and this potential buildup, this potential war, because that's our back door, and China's there. They're all over it, and they have a strong foothold. China is growing by leaps and bounds, and every time I talk about China, I always get comments like, oh, their economy is failing, their economy is as bad as ours, economy is worse than ours. Folks, this is a nation that just a few decades ago was pretty much like a third world country. This is a nation that when they've gone through great economic collapse, the people just keep going. I mean, they eat shoe leather. They just keep going. They don't fall apart. They're communists, and it's not just that they're communists. It's their culture is very different than ours. And I'm not speaking negatively or anything of Chinese culture, but their culture is very much to be obedient servants of the government. I mean, there's not that kind of rugged, individualist, rebellious, kind of built into them that many Americans, because it's traditionally an American thing. And so even when, economies collapse and stuff or get really bad there, they keep trucking along because their government tells them to. And so number one, an economic collapse for them would not affect them, I don't believe, nearly like it would us. But number two, there may be some things internally, but China's trade is growing. And it's grown already to the point that while if they weren't doing business with us, it would hurt them, it would not cause them to fall apart. They've already developed so much trade with most of the rest of the world. I mean, if you look at maps and you show, the dominant trade partner for countries 20, 30 years ago, most of the world, it was us. And now that's flipped around. The dominant trade partner for most countries is China. They are huge all over the continent of Africa. They're big in South America. That's why we're trying to move in there. Even our allies like Australia, most South Asian countries, they're huge. They're huge. And this is a humongous threat, and most people just aren't paying attention to it. So, I understand that probably Trump is trying to fix this through trade, but I don't think that that's going to fix it. I mean, look at the threats that he's made already with the high tariffs and stuff. It hasn't really seemed to be very effective. I think China is just kind of waiting, because if you notice how their behavior, Trump will really push them hard, and they will verbally say that they will back down, but then they actually don't. They verbally said that they would back down on their ban on rare earth minerals, and a victory was claimed, but then they actually didn't. I think they're trying to drag this out so they get to the point that they need it to be, where they feel that they're ready. Their culture is so different than ours. They think very much long term. American culture is very short term, even from a government perspective. Our government does very, very poorly on all levels of thinking long term, past a year or two. That's why our budget bills anymore, it's like, oh, is it a little Band-Aid to keep it going another 90 days or something. We're not thinking, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years down the road. Chinese culture, they do. And I don't know. Are we past the point of no return on this? Does it matter anymore because, we're failing anyways in so many other, factors, and that, we're in the end times? I don't know. But, this was a pretty huge report that came out, not today, but recently, that, by 2027, which is not very far away, China's military capabilities will be so much greater than it is today, that it would be near impossible for us to defeat them. So anyways, it's something to think about. Oh, and yes, also they passed the Epstein files bill. It's not been signed by Congress or by the president, but then another Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, filed papers to that she can redact whatever she wants and not release certain things due to national security and an ongoing investigation, which is exactly what I said would happen. So anyways, we'll see. Probably still nothing will happen. I mean, these people aren't gonna, because it's both sides. They're both making this argument. The Democrats are like, aha, see, we got the Republicans because they're all over it. And the Republicans are saying the same thing. It's because they're both all over it. And they're, and their bosses are all over it. So, all right, folks, this is just more of a reason to just continue to prepare and get yourself ready, because I've been telling you, we got 2030 coming up in just a few years. Between now and then, and it's what we've seen already. And look back in the last 5 years, what's happened? Immense amounts of change in the last 5 years. The next 3.5 years, 4 years, it's going to blow your mind. And so you better be getting ready and getting your houses in order, preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.